So welcome. Let's start by introducing our host. So my name is Sami Kaksonen, data architect from DataStax. Been here for only a couple of months, and with me we have Amarjit, or not exactly. Could you explain what happened?
Attention, that is not me. The poor guy's ill at home. He's
Yeah.
sick. It's terrible. And I fill in for him today. We could. Oh, you did that. Thank you.
I changed it already, just for
Much
you.
rather do this
Yeah,
than that.
fast
I know,
fix.
so.
But yeah, we are here, and let's start off by asking a nice question, just to get you all awake. So what do you think you have in common with the following companies? Do you have anything? Well, the answer is that you will be using the same technology that powers the world's leading data-driven businesses, but after this workshop. So hopefully once we're done this, you all would have access to a data platform that you could then use yourself, or then invite your colleagues to take a look at that one. So how many has a computer with them?
I see no.
None.
This? Yeah.
None. Would be great that if you could take that out and use that within. It's not absolutely mandatory. We can show you how to work with AstroDB and so forth, but if you want to, it would be a great opportunity to get that set up before you leave the event as well.
So that's the reason why there's two of us. He does the real work, and I just walk around and help you guys. If you want to do this yourself, 50 minutes is really short for a workshop. So it's like our workshops are normally like 4 hours in real exercises. So we kind of like when we show up with the two of us, and you want to follow him, or you want to do it on your own laptop, I'll be walking around and helping you out, and how to set that up.
So that required any sort of installation, or it's a web sort of?
It's all web.
No,
it's
no
all
installation
browser
needed.
installation.
If you have a
Nothing
browser.
installed.
Yep. All right, so today's agenda. First, a quick like a little bit about the context. What is Open Data Stack? So I will be brief with this one, just a few minutes of that, and then we can actually spend a little bit more time in explaining and showing you how you create the database and how you can get up to speed with that, and then how to use different APIs, where to find information, how to use that. And then also we slightly touch on the streaming, so the change data capture. So in nowadays you of course need to have a data platform that is also fueling your event-driven applications and real-time applications as well. So that's partially covered as well. And then we're going to wrap up and explain where to find more information than if and when you get interested about this. Sounds good? All right, so this is actually our company's mission, that that we want to be the open data stack for real-time data applications. And what we mean by that, and we think that if a company would be now founded, nobody would create a company without kind of having that ability to be cloud native. And in modern applications are typically based on microservices, so very important that you have the ability to then deploy on Kubernetes and leverage on that one. And then we have, of course, the database modules, we have the streaming, stream processing, and all. We think that the modern data platform should be relying on the open source components. So you have the freedom to leave then if you would not like a specific vendor, one or the other. And then, of course, developers are the king, so any data platform that you're building today, empowering your developers then with the rich set of APIs and tools that they are productive in creating the applications that they work with. So when you put all this together, you get a very powerful tool for your organization. And this is our implementation of that modern data stack then. So yes, it runs on double. You can choose. You can deploy it in AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. It's of course fully managed as well. And then we have leverage on open source technology like Cassandra, which is a very good data platform. Who's familiar with Cassandra? And who is not? Yes, brave enough to show it. I have like 80-second video that I can show you to introduce you to the Cassandra. And then Pulsar, which is the streaming solution, then if you have heard ever about the Kafka, you could consider that could be considered as the next generation Kafka implementation. And then the important part is this, the Stargate APIs, or actually the API gateways that we have then built on top of this to hide the abstraction, so that your developers or sysadmins don't need to spend time with those individual open source components and maintaining them. So we have color-coded now the two parts of this workshop. The first one is the orange one, which is basically the more traditional database, data at rest. And access for the developers to that part of the offering is given using the Stargate API gateways. And you can see that there's a variety of different ways how you can use to access then the data and then the persistence layer that you have in the platform. And on the right-hand side, you can see that that's on the Pulsar side, so you can, in similar fashion, then interact with that part as well. You can configure it, you can use it, produce and consume messages using APIs, and we call that then Starlight, that API gateway. So that's setting the scene for today. So now we're gonna do step-by-step instructions how you can create all this, and actually, to be honest, it would take less than 5 minutes probably to do it. But since we are explaining a little bit how to do it, then it takes a little bit more time. And like Jürgen said, today we are not going to deep dive, and luckily for you, because you don't have your development laptops with you, we are not going to deep dive and create any codes, but just to maybe share and get you try it out, how to access the database. All right, and this is the objective. If you choose so, you have all this production-ready platform for your use.
But you're going to do it as well, right? You're going to show all the steps.
Yeah, I'll show the steps, and then I've been jumping back and forth with the presentation, and then with the AstroDB website, so you can see the different parts of that, how it looks like.
Can I steal a little bit of your thunder? I promise.
You can steal as many minutes or seconds as you
Seriously,
want.
this is not rehearsed, but I just thought about that when you went to the first couple of slides. When you look at our companies, and I'm a techie, by the way, data architect, so if I sound too salesy, my apologies, but I'm not. The vision of the company is very much determined by management that comes from Apigee, present here as well. So our spiritual leader was at Apigee when it went to Google and many others of the company, and I'm part of the product management development. So it's not unknown territory for us.
Sure, all right. There's at least, how many laptops are there? 1, 2, 3.
He's just checking his Facebook. So.
Three, but really maybe 1 or 2. Okay, but actually then we could actually then spend a little bit more time in the AstroDB as well, but that's fine. Okay, database part. So why have we chosen the Apache Cassandra? Because it's unique capabilities. It's always on high availability. It provides linear scalability. You saw the companies, Apple, Netflix using it. So basically the scaling is limitless. It provides you low latency, so it's super fast and performant. And also it's easy then to distribute. In addition to our hosted and managed database, we also do have the on-premise installation, but that's other part of the story. And as you can see from the logo cloud, the Apache Cassandra is not specifically designed to any specific industry, but you can see that any industry in the world that is facing a lot of transactions are using or taking leverage or leveraging the Cassandra's capabilities. And for example, yeah, this is banking, so JP Morgan and Chase, I think. Do we have anyone from JP Morgan over here? Yes? You should be using this one. So that's a good one. Okay, now let's see if we can get the audio. Of course not. Why is that?
So it came out of Facebook in 2008. Well, we don't have any audio.
Yeah. Let's try this one.
Cassandra, a wide column store NoSQL database famous for its ability to distribute petabytes of data with unmatched reliability and performance. It was created in 2008 by Avinash Lakshman, who was responsible for scaling Facebook's inbox search feature. By 2010, it became a top-level Apache project, and today is used at scale by big companies like Apple, which manages a staggering 100 petabytes of data across hundreds of thousands of server instances. It's a general-purpose database with use cases for e-commerce, content management, audit logging, and everything in between. Each instance of Cassandra is called a node and typically stores about 2 terabytes of data. What makes it special though is that nodes can be easily distributed to scale horizontally. Every node has the same read-write capabilities of another node, but is responsible for its own partition of data. Nodes are grouped together in a cluster or ring, and data is typically replicated on multiple nodes, which means no single point of failure and 100% uptime. The data is wrapped in a key space, giving developers control over how it replicates in the cluster. Each key space contains one or more tables, which represent tabular data like you might find in a relational database. However, it's schemaless and can handle unstructured data, which developers can manage with the Cassandra query language. The easiest way to get started is by creating a free serverless database with Astra.
And that's like 80%. I cut down 20% to save your time from that 100-second instructions video. But yeah, then let's do it. And the Astra DB is basically then setting up an Cassandra environment for your use. So those who has the laptop, please do, you can try to follow my instructions on the line. We also do have the awesome Astra github.io. This is more like a cheat code. We are not going to follow this one, but it's a good place then that maybe to bookmark for yourself if you later on then want to return and watch some instructions how to do the different setups.
So although we are part of the commercial side of the company, if you will, I think a third of our company is dedicated to the open source community. It's really different than what we're doing. Cassandra days are open days that we present. We do 80% of the commit to the code base. So those people do a lot of free training and proper workshops. They know this stuff. We just talk about this. But you will see on GitHub and on YouTube channels really, really proper training material. The intention of today was just in 15 minutes show you what we can do with S3DB and how you can play with this yourself. If you want to have really deeper going into that stuff, look on the YouTube channels and we'll share those data later.
Yep. All right. So first step, creating an account to astra.datastack.com. So if you have your Google account or GitHub, it's very easy. It takes a couple of seconds to do that. Yeah, but now we're done. It's perfectly fine. And then Jürgen can help you in catching up these steps if you don't have time. So once you have created the account, then we're gonna create a database, and this is now how the Astra DB dashboard looks like. So once you created you're logged into the to the dashboard. You can see maybe it's too small. Can you see that?
It is small though from here.
Yeah, let's see if I can.
So they need to fill this form.
So when you first log in, by the way, you'll see the we want to know more about you and just sign your life away. Just fill in whatever you want there. Don't worry. We've scanned you already.
Yeah. So then, when you logged in, you can see the dashboard. So of course, you can see your current plan. We do provide a free tier as well, so you don't need to put anything. I'm now as pay as you go. It means that I have entered my credit card information here, but it means that I get free credits of $25 per month. And it means that I can do multiple millions of reads and writes and having multiple gigabytes of storage without any money being transferred from my credit card account. So it's perfectly fine that you can experiment and do all kinds of things without investing any money in. But yeah, on the dashboard, we have a list of databases that I've created. There's a list of streaming instances we have created. And now when you creating a database is very, very easy. So you choose the database name. If the ones that are not going to create it, you could do the Apidays, and then they use the key space. We can put a workshop on that one. And then choose, there's of course different options here, but you should choose now the Google Cloud and take the Belgium Europe West 1. Because later on, if you want to then use the same environment to experiment then with the CDC and the streaming part, it's good to have them on the same region. But I'm just gonna call them Apidays 2 because I already created that one, so I'm gonna create another one and select that one, and that's it. Then creating the database. And that's everything that you need to do in order to create a database that you can then use. And now, when you created that, then you have the client ID, client secret, and token. This is important. You can download this to your own computer, because then when you are trying then to access the database, you would need that one.
You don't need people to be exactly the same database, right? Somebody created Christmas here already.
Yeah. It's fine. As you remember it, I'm perfectly fine that you can adapt to that. Yeah. But I think the region would be good that if you can keep to the Belgian one, so that would be good. Yeah, the names doesn't really matter. And then when you want to connect, the client ID and client secret are used if you are using driver. You're gonna use that. But if you want to just stick with the APIs, you only need to have the token then as an authorization to access then all these databases. We're gonna come back to that one. All right. Do we have databases done? Yes. So far, so good. Moving on. If you are there on a free tier, which I assume you all are, don't get them surprised because it might be that on the free tier, those databases are then hibernating if you are not using them. So maybe it's 24 hours or something. If it's inactive, then it's hibernate. But just click off a button and then you can resume it and continue as it goes. So don't be surprised if that happens. So then we could go actually and get some data into your database. So I'll show that how to do that. So you will find this load data. So first you need to select the database that you selected. Now it's still initializing. So you can see in my screen it's still initializing. Typically it comes through in a minute or so. Is your green already? Initializing, okay. Must be demo effect. but I'm gonna, once it's green like this one, you can find the load data. And here, and this is very nice if you want to do a proof of concept or pilot using this one, you can use your own data sets. So you can have you exported, let's take, do you have a table where in your relation or whatever database, you take that data, you push it out, and then you start experimenting, maybe benchmarking the performance or whatever. Then you can do that. But for convenience, there's already pre-populated data sets that you can then use. Ethereum NFTs, so if you want some blockchain source material, it's an easy way to get started. And in this workshop, we are using these movies and TV shows. Maybe somebody wants to give me a thumbs up when the databases are green.
Database up and running, halfway there. Database initializing. Sorry, I didn't get your head.
Initializing. Two green, two.
Too much load.
Yeah. But yeah, just as you know, in the background, then it's creating all these different nodes and building all that replication, all that high availability functionality and so forth. So it takes time, but it doesn't take that much time because after once it's done, then it's really, really.
It is creating behind the scenes. It's sort of the Cassandra nodes it's creating, right?
I'm sorry?
when it's setting up all these things, it's creating Cassandra nodes.
Yeah, all that infrastructure that is needed and then typically maintained by large enterprises by themselves, all that is taken care of. Okay, so then maybe the ones that has passed through already this phase, they can just choose that one, take next one. And then there's a sample of the different data types for each of the columns that it's going to insert into the database. And then it asks for a partition and clustering column. So if you are not used NoSQL or Cassandra before, this might be a little bit confusing, but this is one of the ways how working with the NoSQL database differs from using, for example, with the relational databases, because when you're building a data model with the Cassandra, you basically need to think about what are the use cases of the application. You need to think what are the queries that you're going to do. And in this exercise, we could, for example, put the partition key. So let's say that we're going to do queries by release year. So we're going to search for movies based on the release year. So you can choose the partition key as release year, and then we're going to search by, let's say, title and director, and then to make it unique, we're going to throw the show ID there as well. And this is enough. And when you do that, then it inserts that one table in your database. So now we would be then done with setting up the foundation. So now we have a fully operational database with some data in it. Initializing. There again. You need to fix this.
What is wrong?
Oh, it's still initializing, so it's probably not something that you can do, but still, I ask you if you could speed up that initializing a little bit. But you got through.
Free accounts are on a different kind of platform, just like we as developers work on, so we keep them away from production, so they're a little less.
Yeah.
So if everyone goes in at the same time, it's like, only 3 people. Yeah.
Are you okay if we move forward with this one? You're still with it. Yeah. And again, the awesome Astra, it has these all these steps explained as well, so it's easy something that you can do then afterwards. And
What cloud they are using for the free time?
did you all use Google Cloud? Yeah. Same.
No, there's one AWS and the rest is all GCP and it's all Belgium. So Belgium goes like, really? Somebody free?
Okay.
There's nothing stopping you from ramping up another one that's been initialized.
Okay, they are saying like Google Cloud.
All right.
Oh, you did too? They're both initialized?
Let's move forward.
Let's move.
You'll catch up. I'm sure it's a couple of clicks, so you'll catch up once.
Beautiful image.
Yeah,
Norwegian word.
yeah. So now we're moving into now that's the table stage, right? So that you have the database available, and now it's where it gets a little bit more interesting. Then, so this is what makes the difference then in having just a database, and every database has access methods. But the Stargate, and the Stargate provides you a possibility to then start, since it's schemaless, you can start with your application coding, you can do prototypes, you can use, let's say, column family data model. Then you realize that the graph queries might be better off for your use case. Then you can do that one, and in traditional model, you might have then multiple different applications or databases then that you need to maintain. But when using a Stargate, you can abstract that away, and you can access this data using these different APIs and different languages as well. We're gonna jump in there for a while. Quick introduction for the API layer. So we have a wide variety again, starting from the traditional drivers. So that would be the most kind of old school way to build the application, right? And then moving on to maybe that the modern front-end developers are more.
Excuse me, can I interrupt? Is Dominic in the room from Okta? Oh, sorry, apologies.
Dominic is not in the room.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, he's got to move his
Okay. So yeah, But of course, the more to the right you can move, you might also see some performance decrease, although they are so minimal that you probably wouldn't even notice it. And in most use cases, it doesn't really matter which one of these to use. But again, different data models, they have their own specific use cases that they're best for. So then it gets more challenging. So then the objective for today would be that you would have your environment set up. If it's initially.
It's green now.
Green. We have green. Okay. Thanks, Jörgen. Thanks, Jörgen. You fixed it. Okay. Yeah. So then the challenge here within this workshop then would be that you would be using what would be the most feasible thing for you to connect with that database using your own application. Today I'm going to use Swagger UI just to explain the REST API, so I'm going to be using that one. And then the Astra has some resources for that as well. So you can find, for example, if you go back to the AstraDB, there is just to get you started, there's a sample app gallery, which you can use then for source of inspiration if you don't want to use your own application. There's a wide variety, again, of different application and use cases which you could then start working with, or different starters for that matter. But these are just samples. Like today, we are not going to develop anything for this, but it would be good to get, if you have time, to get connected to your application from the AstraDB.
So you should now have.
So let's go then explain the connection for the. So now I believe everybody is on green. When you click on your database, you should be seeing a dashboard something like this. And when you go to the Connect tab, you can then find information, a good documentation, how to access your database. And there is, today we're going to use the APIs, but of course there's drivers available for different programming languages if you want to use that one. And here is a download bundle. So if you'll be using Java, for example, like I'm a Java guy, so my preference would be always Java. Then you can download that bundle, then that creates a MTLS connection to your AstraDB, so all the communication taking place with the cloud instance, and then your own application, everything in between is encrypted. And in Astra, you can also encrypt the data that resides in the application with bringing your own keys, for example, if needed. And then, since there's some financial people involved, so we are SOC compliant as well as a provider and as a database as well. Let me go back to the APIs. So here's the steps. First, you need to create a token. Actually, you got that token already, but for if you want to provide a token for your app developers, you can go to your organization. Well, there's a short link over there. I could also go back here and show where's the other way how to find it. So you can click on the organization settings, and then token management. And in the token management, a good, well, if you're using API, so you can create yourself a API administrator user, and then generate token by clicking the button over here. The role, which role you would need, you will find that in the documentation, so we explain you which privileges is needed for that. There's also user management, so you can create different users within your organization, then that has different privileges to different kinds of activities within this database. So just creating a token, and then you get the same ones. If you lost your first one, you didn't remember to download it, then that one. And this token is something that we use. And now if we,
It's a scope-based token, right?
Mhm.
It's a scope-based token. On the basis of RBAC, you create the token so that people can have access to specific data sets. Or is it like the whole token for that accessing the database? So that we have the primary connection string, right?
yeah, you can have database specific as well.
As I'm saying, like on the basis of RBAC, show the different roles. So can we generate a token on the basis of roles?
Based on rows or columns, column-based row. Yeah, this way, I think Jörgen would be a good guy to answer that one. But from this management tool, that's not supported. You need to then use other techniques to get that type of functionality. But okay, let's go back to the Connect. Let's take REST API. If you want to use your command line, you need to export those settings, and then you can use, for example, these, and just by cut and pasting these, then they should work, and you could see then a new table created in your table space. Or in this case, we can show you the Swagger UI, which has a lot of endpoints, of course. First one is for those who wants to work with the document API. You can use these REST APIs as well, or endpoints. There's for schemas. You can return tables, add columns. So let's see if we can return all key spaces. In some cases, there's a version 1 and version 2, so it means that we are just releasing a Stargate 2.0. I think it's actually today, so any minute, or if anything weird happens, it's probably because we are just rolling out that new version as well. So the version 2 is the new ones. So let's take that one, and you can try them out here. Of course, if you use this one, it's integrated, so it automatically puts that token in there, so you don't need to do that. And then just by executing this, then you can find the results here. So everything is so there's a multiple different key spaces in this and then which one is the let me see this let's see which tables we have. I'll actually go back and check which one I had. So Apidays, yeah. So this one. There's also, if you want to, you can access this database using the SQL as well. Desk key. I'm just gonna check that they are there. Oh, the workshop, yeah. And then you can use workshop. Yeah, so I've been using that many. So let's go back to the Swagger. Try it out, execute. So here we can see this is the version 1. So there's the workshop. If you would have now the courage, I think, Jörgen, what do you think? Should we keep the inserting the a table or something?
Sorry, I was busy.
Yeah. So do you have any application in your mind that you wanted to connect to? Are you using Python or Java, or which programming languages would be used?
Comfortable. I mean, like Node is fine. Do you have Node connected?
Node.js, yes. Yeah, so that should be also. Let me just switch the tabs. So here when you go to the connect, you can find the driver for the Node.js, for example. That's the instructions then how to connect to that one. But okay, before we are diving in, I'm just figuring out, how are we doing with the time? Should we move into the CDC part? Yeah.
We're done, I can do CDC, can show that.
Yeah.
Cool thing about it, they don't know.
So,
Cassandra on-premise or DSE on-premise, produce it on-premise.
yeah, but maybe we could then go to the data platform, the streaming part. And again, this part of the platform is then now how you can get that, because we have there's many enterprises that the data sits in the silos and you don't really get that data moving.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yes. Maybe you take.
You go help people.
Yeah.
One round of applause for Sammy. Yay. It was the first one he did for data stacks here in this country, right? Ever. We're both relatively new. I've been here for about a year. Streaming. We officially don't do streaming. We do streaming, but this is to let you know that we focus on databases. Cassandra. We just happen to have a streaming solution in there for CDC. So Cassandra in itself is already in pretty real time, but if you want to have it even realer time, I think that's not a word, but we support a streaming platform. Now, the cool thing about that is it allows you to change data capture into Cassandra. So imagine you have got this petabytes of data, and you don't really want to have a client connecting to your Cassandra database to retrieve information and do these select, even if it's really fast. And you want to have a subset of that data available for consuming. So, in its wisdom, Cassandra or DataStax created a streaming platform using Pulsar, and we could have done Kafka as well. It's not either one of its. We still support Kafka if you want to produce into Kafka. So it's not we're in favor of Pulsar over Kafka, and it allows you to. With a little, is everyone familiar with streaming platforms? Have you got experience with streaming? I see everyone nodding, sort of, kind of, yeah? Okay, so you got producers and consumers, and in our world of Pulsar and CDC, a producer sits in the Astra space, or DSC if you got this on premise, and it monitors a Cassandra table. So if there's something happens in that table, the key will then be reread, and it goes out into the database and says, dude, there's a change to this. You want this, and it takes out that value and it puts it on a queue for consumption into whatever you want. Another Cassandra database, or it goes into an S3 bucket, or it goes into Elasticsearch, it goes into a Kafka queue, whatever you want. So that's a way of doing that. The reason why we're bringing it up today is that that also has an API, but it's the Pulsar API supporting that in Astra environment. So it is streaming as a I hate it, I can't read out from screens, but it's basically what I just told you. It's a streaming as a service, but and again, I need to emphasize this. There are other streaming platforms out there that just do streaming, and they do it very well. We also do it very well, but we do it in the context of Cassandra, so it's the two of them. If customers come to us, it's like, I want to do streaming, and I don't want to do databases. You can, but it's not really efficient. It really is for Cassandra environments in Astra. So the combination of those two is so the Astra DB, the Cassandra is really reliable in storage. The analysis is there. But if you want to have a better insight, because if you're going to have so much data in your Cassandra and you just want to have a little subset, then you'll get that out with streaming. I thought your slides would eventually show the real product instead of me just doing slideware. Or will it?
I think it's, yeah. Just
So you can see how ill-prepared I am. I do this off the cuff.
yes,
This is basically what I...
my super fingers.
Okay.
Just
That's where you hit it. Good. We're
Now you're all
ill-prepared.
set.
Oh, now it's initializing, just like everyone else. So you want to go around and point people where to go streaming. So because you've looked at the... This is not your... Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. So what Sammy deliberately didn't mention when you log into the portal is that you see two parts. He only talked about the first part, which is the databases. And the second part, where it says streaming, is where you can create streams or tenants, right?
If you want to do this while your laptop, I'll do this for you so you could follow me. So the important thing is, so this is my stream, whatever kind of name. The important thing is though, and that's why we said do Google, is at the moment, you can only do, sorry, my voice is going. You can only do streaming for the database in the same region where you did your database. It kind of makes sense if you think about streaming, because if you do a stream on the other side of the world and your database is in Europe, then that doesn't really work. So your streaming needs to be in the same region as your S3DB is, right? Plus, there is another billing plan. It's a dirty word, I know it's a workshop and not sales, but it's just to make sure that you are aware that our cloud, you pay what you use. It is really a consumption model. It's what you put in, what you put out, and how long you use it. And if you start streaming it, you can run functions in streaming. So those of you who have knowledge on streaming, is just like with Kafka and with Pulsar, you can apply functions to the data before it goes into your topic. So let's say you have a database with customer-sensitive information. You want to make a stream available, but you want to obfuscate some of the stuff out of there. You want to take the social security numbers out. So you could have a function that reads into that. And running that function is another little bit of tiny payment. So it really goes to the smallest detail. So I'm creating a stream. I'll take another one as an example that's running already. So just like, well, I can do this one. This is already there. So just like with AstraDB, as Sami showed, that you can access via traditional drivers or API, so document API, REST API. The same goes for the streaming part of things. So you can still do this traditionally by a Pulsar client, for example. So it's like, look, if you're using a Pulsar CLI, you can run this. Go download this client.config file for your Pulsar client, and you can start using this. So what you see is, it's too far away. These are your broker service URLs to access this specific stream. And then we have examples for Java code, and this is the Starlight. So Stargate is for AstraDB API, and Starlight, both of them open source, by the way, is for specifically for the streaming side of things. Now, I'm going a little bit off topic, the cool thing about this, I said functions, right? So you can add functions in here, but so now you have a stream, and it shows you how you can connect to this stream. Now what you can do is, Sami, you created London, right? Or is it API Days 1 or 2?
API Days.
Okay, API Days 1 or 2. So the reason why we put streaming in, and again, I'm emphasizing this for the third time, it is for CDC, for change data capture. Now I can enable on this, saying I'm going to enable CDC, and I wanted to, the one that I created is API Days. The key space that I have is a workshop, and the name can be anything. Hi, Mom. So now I've enabled CDC, and what it does now, it says, look, I've got a tenant running, and the data topic that I have says, if there's now a change into that table called workshop, the producer or a monitor knows that there is a change, and camera loves me. You better not put this on YouTube, dude. I'm so shy. So you got this topic running. You got the tenant inside the tenant. You got a topic. Now my CDC starts producing. I haven't done anything in the table. I'm not going to jinx this demo live, but it says these are the three partitions. So again, for those of you done streaming, it creates by default three partitions in the backend for better performance. So it puts this in these different partitions, and then it says, look, these are the producers. I'm not producing anything. I haven't connected anything. I'm also not consuming anything. So you can see those consuming. And everything you're seeing here, you can access over the API and actually use APIs to start reading stuff straight from that topic. Are there any questions by now before I start yapping away at 150 miles an hour? I see everyone. Are we good for time? Should we go into question rounds? Is it too early for beers?
Yeah, I have a question.
There you go.
So yeah, I think when I created the stream, table name, right? So I have entered a table which doesn't exist, right? So it created a stream for me. So how it should be?
So the stream you can create without having a table definition already. The stream just sits there and it waits for stuff. It isn't until you go back to the database, like what I've done here. So you got the stream API days, shows you the way that you can connect, the namespaces, the sources. This is cool. The sinks. So those are the consumers. You can add it into other things. I'll get to your questions in a second. So you can actually say, where do you want it to go? Well, I want it to have that Astra CDC. Where does it go? You see? Does it go to another DB? Does it go to an Elastic? Does it go to Kafka, for example? So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can have it go to. But it just sits there. That's the tenant. That's the stream inside a tenant. Now I go to my database and I say, dude, do something, CDC. I want to enable this CDC. This is where you enable that. It says, what's the tenant? What did I do again? My stream, right, my stream. And I said workshop, and then the table name. Now the table name isn't a drop down because I haven't created any table names. And even if I had created, you need to do this manually. So yeah, you need to do it. If you do this wrong, if you do movies or not, that's definitely not there. I can still enable, but it will say, forget it, there's no table. But the moment I start creating the table and producing something in there, it will start to work.
Yeah, it's showing error for me as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
You say error here, dude, there is no such table. Yeah. You don't have to raise your hand, you're not in school anymore.
So, like we are loading this data, right? And
Yeah.
at the end we are doing sort of streaming on that. But at the end, like I wanted to create a sort of dashboard or sort of analytics on that data. Does it, I mean, like it's out of box feature, or do we need to integrate any third party?
You just touched on my favorite subject. My life before data stacks was in APM, performance management. And no, I'm on a roll now.
We probably have to continue.
Okay, so the dash,
Keep it short.
I'll keep, yeah, I'm on a roll now, dude, come on.
Yeah.
So let's go to a database. You've probably seen health. So this health gives you health on your database. Reads, writes, how many in the percentile, 99 percentile, 80 percentile. This is great, but this is inside the product, and you don't really want to, if your database is running, log into every time. You can export this. You can export this manually, but you can also do a post into Astra. You set a token up in your Astra DB. You pass that token in your post and say, look, this is where my Grafana Prometheus environment is. Please, DataStax, send this stuff over to my Prometheus, who makes nice dashboards on Grafana, right? But it's going to be related to the database. You're not going to see JVM statistics or Kubernetes and how that runs. It's kind of like, yes, your baby, but we'll take care of it. You'll see the throughput in here.
Okay.
Have I gone off track too much?
So, but this health around the nodes or the cluster which are running, right?
This is the health of your database. This is not the health of your individual nodes.
But I'm talking about the actual data,
Yeah.
which you exported, which you streaming, right? So the data which, let's say there was a data around the movie, right?
Yeah.
So you filter out like, okay, a particular year, how many movies got released, right? And I wanted to create a sort of dashboard or analytics around it.
No,
Sort
we
of
don't.
filter.
No, we don't do metrics on the streaming Pulsar side yet. So
Okay, okay. And like at the end, why I'm filtering the data? Because I can do a sort of analytics on that.
you can.
But I suggest you continue
We
right
can-
after
we
this
can-
one. And
the
you
booth,
can,
I'm
you
here
can
for the
ask
next
more.
day
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah.
and then I'm at the Apollo.
Yeah. So,
Am I done?
yeah, you showed the CDC, right?
Did I show?
Yeah. So just
Good.
to wrap things up, so now by combining this, having that streaming instance ready, having that database ready, making that CDC connection, now you have empowered the development teams with these capabilities to build those real-time applications. And if you get interested, like, or there's open questions still, like there is, visit our booth. We are happy to talk about this for hours, days. And if you want to continue working and learning this, so AstroDB, there's a good instructions. Also, Master was mentioned. There's also something called Academy Data Stacks, which means that there's a bunch of different courses that you can do online for free. to train your Cassandra expertise. There's a great tutorials and so forth. So that will get you up to speed, and you can do even a certification over there as well. If you would go back to your organization, hey, let's do a pilot, let's do a proof of concept. There's also a free training class in 4 weeks from now. It's up to three persons per organization. A course run through Eventbrite as well, so that might be a good timing as well to pick up some maybe more colleagues that would be then familiar with.
Probably for 3 days, I will like for work.
Yeah, this is a due 3 days. Yeah, but more information at the Eventbrite website. So hopefully you got the QR code, so you should find all the information over there. But that's a great giveaway as well. Amarjit. And me, thanks.
Hope you get well soon.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining. And,